We need the delay. The chat delay. The chat delay. Okay. So far, nobody here. Somebody got to be here. It says one. All right, who's here? Nobody's here. It says one guest. Must be an incognito guest. I probably should have sent out an email saying, I'll be here. Aha! Cutty's here! I was just saying, maybe I should have sent out an email saying, I will be here. Because when I'm not around for a day or two, everybody's like, screw him. It's an age thing, you know. We get to be a certain age and, you know. Did I press the right button? I guess not. Oh. Yeah, the Ronbo's here. Let's get started. Broadcasting live from station WDWL TV. Corporate offices located on the Grumpy Vulture Boulevard, and my personal two studios are located on Grumpy Old Man Road. And for you first timers, I am this guy and this guy. And introducing the Grumpy Jackalope. Let's hear it for the Grumpy Jackalope. All right, the Grumpy Vulture with the crooked banner. Jeez. Take your bow. All right, that's it. Look at the camera. Straighten your banner. You're getting to be a disgrace to the show. He never has a crooked banner. Okay, we're saving electricity. That's it. No more light. Oh, man, I'll tell you. First of all, I'm back in the running for the Corvette again. Bill's good buddy decided he didn't want it. So I told him, I said, well, before I finalize a price, I'm going to pick up a battery and I want to hear this thing. I want to see if it starts. If it starts, see if it's got a good clutch and transmission, and then I'll decide. And the Passat is going to the VW shop. Yep. My buddy, he don't know what he screwed up when he did all that tearing apart and putting back together. So he called a guy that is a VW specialist, and I went over and talked to him, and I told him, I said, I don't want to spend $2,000 on a $200 car. He said, don't worry, I will take good care of you because you and Ben are buddies, and Ben screwed your car up. And Ben told me today he ain't charging me a dime. He refused to take money. I pulled money out. I said, hey, you worked on the car for a week. He said, no, I screwed the car up. So, looks like I'll be calling Allstate Motor Club and having it towed to the shop. Luckily, the shop's not that far away. And then, am I pissed off? I think I told you, my favorite Hungarian pastry shop is finally open again. So, I go in, I check the hours. It says today, open till 2. I thought, okay. So, 1:25, I pull up out front, and there's a big sign that says, open! The door's fucking locked, the lights are out, and there ain't nobody in the place. It said, business hours, 4 a.m. to 2 p.m. 1:25, closed. So tomorrow, I am going to call and give him a piece of my mind. Drove all the way over there for nothing. I think he owes me a couple of extra pogotches for wasting my gas. Yes, Kathy, and he brought a shitload of parts. And I said, you gotta take something. And he said, no. He said, somewhere I screwed this car up. And he said, my conscience says no. He says, in good conscience, I can't take any money because I screwed the car up more than what it was screwed up before. I even tried stuffing money in his pocket. He told me, don't fucking insult me. He said, if we'd be running and driving it right now, I'd take your money. So, it kind of scared me when he said, well, it's got to go to a VW specialist. I was like, oh, fuck. So I went up and I talked to the guy. And he said, I'll figure it out. And I told him, I said, I don't want to spend $1,000 on this car. He said, don't worry. I'll figure it out and I'll fix it as cheap as possible. I said, okay. when do you want it? He said, well, maybe Friday. I'll call you. I says, okay. And then, of course, Mary Ann telling me, you're an asshole for even thinking about that Corvette. I said, yeah, and? I said, it could be the diamond in the rough, where I stick a battery in it, air up the tires, and the car's drivable. I said, then again, I could get a pig in a poke. I said, it's the luck of the draw. So, before I even consider it, I'm going to take a battery over and see if it'll start. And take it from there. Now, it's been sitting for 6 years. I don't expect it to fire right up, but I want to hear it at least hit. Popping maybe a couple of backfires. I mean, I had a friend. Get this. He was on vacation. And I want to say he wasn't in Texas. I think New Mexico. And he sees this '70 Chevy Chevelle out in the weeds. So he pulls into this farm, and he says to the farmer, is that Chevy out there for sale? He said, well, it's about time I get it out of the field. If you can get it started, you can have it. So my buddy's like, now, he ain't getting too excited, but this is an SS 396. And he's like, if this thing is a numbers matching car, even if I don't do anything with it, it's worth money. So he goes up to, I think he said Pep Boys, and bought a battery and some starting fluid and some gasoline, bought a gas can, so the farmer says, I'll give you a ride on my tractor. They go out in the field. He puts the battery in, puts the gas in, blows some ether in the carburetor. The goddamn car started right up. So the farmer's like, Jesus Christ, the car's been sitting there like 20 years. So they aired up the tires, but the car was still sunk in the ground. So the farmer hooks a chain to it and puts a chain to the tractor and pulls it out to the gravel driveway And the farmer said, I didn't think that thing would ever start. I got the paperwork in the house. We'll go over to my neighbor. He's a notary. We'll get the title notarized so you can take the car. And he got it for free. He brings it back to Ohio. And he had it on one of them U-Haul wheel lifts where you just put the front wheels on it. It's a little, that's all it is. A little hauler. He's backing it in his driveway, and this guy comes down the street and stops and goes, you want to sell that car? And my buddy's like, I'm just backing it in my driveway. I just came back from New Mexico with it. And the guy said, well, I don't care whether you came back from New Mexico or Alaska. You want to sell that car? My buddy said, let me drive it around a little bit and I'll call you. Give me your number. So he gets it off the trailer. He drives it around the block. He goes up and gets it inspected so he can get the title for it in Ohio and checks it out. It's a complete numbers matching car. SS 396 with a 4-speed. So he calls the guy and he said, I'll sell it. The guy comes over. He says, well, what do you want? My buddy said, make me an offer. Guy looks the car over. He goes, numbers matching? He said, yep, I had it checked out. Numbers matching, all original. Solid underbody. Now, it's going to need work, but it was amazing he was able to drive it around the city. Guy says, I'll give you $5,000 right now. Now, my buddy almost shit himself, and he was like, well, oh, okay. The guy came back later with a trailer, and off he went. I said, Jesus Christ, what did you have in the car? He said, $100. I said, well, I think you made a profit. Now, what he was going to do was just leave it. He wasn't going to restore it. He was just as is. With the, the patina on it and everything. Now, fully restored, that car is worth some money. And I get the impression that the guy who bought it is going to restore it. But my buddy was just going to drive it as is. Go through, do all the brakes and everything the way that should be, and tune up the motor and flush the systems. But, yeah, this guy followed him down the street. You want to sell that car? I don't know. Now, I don't know if I would get that lucky. But say I go put a battery in the Corvette. It fires up. The clutch is okay. The driveline is okay. Now, it's definitely going to need some brake work because I wouldn't trust the brake lines. But if somebody come up and said, hey, I've been looking for a project I can restore. You want to sell that? And if somebody made me an offer and said, hey, I'll give you 3-4 grand, I'd be like, okay. And then I'll go buy something else. Although I'm hoping that it's not going to cost me an arm and a leg to fix the Passat, but I have had more comments on that car from my neighbors. You know, especially when I tell them what I paid for it, and they're like, you're shitting me. I said, no. I have been cleaning up a little more, and tomorrow I'm going to bring my buffer up, and I'm going to clean up the paint and put a coat of wax on it. It is, hey, for a 25-year-old car, it's pretty damn decent. And it's under the mileage. I mean, 174,000 in 25 years. That's well below. I'm just hoping it's not a pig in a poke. And then next week, no, 2 weeks. 2 weeks, I have the appointment with my podiatrist. If he tells me again I need surgery on my big toes, I'm doing it. This right, my right foot, the big toe is turned under, and I'm like, the way it is, I'm like walking on the tip of the toe. Oh, it's getting painful. I even have a brand new pair of shoes with extra cushioning in it, and the toe is killing me. If he tells me, hey, I'm not gonna argue with you. You need that toe fixed. I'm gonna say, yes, let's do it. Because my pain management doctor pissed me off. Big time. Real big time. First of all, I tried bribe. Remember I told you I was going to bribe him with some poppy seed Danish? Well, a friend of mine Saturday went down to the West Side Market And I says to him, if you find a bakery with some poppy seed Danish, get me 2. He said, 2? Why only 2? I said, I need them for a bribe. So, he brought me back 2 really, oh man. I was tempted to eat them. So I go into my pain management appointment and sit down with my doctor and his boss, and I said, hey fellas, before we get started here, try these. Now, like I said, my doctor, he's a sucker for pastry. So he digs right in. His boss was going to wait till later, and I said, no. So he takes a bite and he goes, oh, this is good. I said, you like them? They're poppy seed. They said, oh, yes. I said, now you know what I'm missing. I want to eat poppy seed again. No. What do you mean, no? I'm thinking here, the bribe ain't working. Well, poppy seed can give a false positive for cocaine, morphine, and marijuana. I said, really? Yeah. And if you test and you get a positive for marijuana, you're done. I said, don't worry, I won't be eating poppy seed ever again. Plus, I have to make a decision. Because they are going to completely take me off pain medication. They are going to wean me down to next to nothing with the fentanyl, and then no more patches and no more Percocets. Metro Hospital is against it. They don't believe in marijuana, medical or otherwise. I have 2 choices. Hold on. They gave me the brochures. I have a choice of either the Medtronic targeted drug delivery pump, better known as the morphine pump, or the Medtronic spinal cord stimulator. Both of them are implanted. I could have swore there was a picture. Oh, here we go. You have a conducting unit that goes up your spine, and then they implant this under the skin, and then you have to recharge it once a day. You put on a little belt, and it's like wireless charging for your telephone. Same thing with the pump. This is the pump that they implant, and then every 6 months they poke a needle through your skin, because right there in the middle is the refill button. And they fish a cable up your spine. Those are my two choices. So I have to meet with a rehab psychologist. I said, I'm seeing a shrink the way it is. No, different. No, this is different. A rehab psychologist on the 7th, who is basically going to grill me whether I am mentally ready for either one of these. It's going to be at least an hour visit, because I have to be in the right frame of mind now. On both devices, you have to go through a 1-week trial period where, like with the stimulator, they put a sensing cable up your spine, and you wear, where's that computer? For a week, you have to wear a computer. Come on, focus. It don't want to focus. And this thing basically tells them how to program the permanent implant. And what I would do daily for 7 days is call a phone number and then set my cell phone on the computer, which will digitally send the readings for that day to a master computer to tell them what my pain levels are for 24 hours so that they can program the implant. After 7 days, they remove that sensing cable and then insert the permanent cable. I don't like that idea too much. Although, they do that with both different devices. So, the electronic stimulator is basically supposed to trick my brain because it stops the signal from the nerve that's going to your brain. All that is an electronic device. No oral medication, no patches. That's it. It also comes with a remote where you can temporarily raise or lower whatever that fucking thing's doing. More shock, less shock. I don't. Now, with the electronic gizmo, they only have to make a 1-inch incision on my side to implant this disc. On the morphine pump, they had to make a 6-inch incision to put that son of a bitch in. I was like, what? Now, this is all done under general anesthetic, so thank God. As far as the implant surgery, when they're fishing that cable up my spine, they're just going to give me a local. What type of implant does she have, Kathy? I guess the website has more information. But basically, with the electronic gizmo, what you do is you have what they call the master programmer, and it looks like a cell phone. And you put on a belt, and then you plug the belt into this cell phone. And you put it in your pocket, and you can walk around, do what you want, and it recharges. The pump is good for 6 months at a time before you have to have it refilled. Easier said than done, Ron. I only have hospitalization through Metro Hospital. It's not like I can go down the street to the clinic and go, I want a second opinion. And then, my doctor didn't help much because I says to him, which one would you choose? And he said, it's 50-50. He says, I have patients on both. And the patients that tried the stimulator had it, had it removed. And they went with the pump and they have no problem. So and either one, it's not going to cost me a dime. But I have to make a decision which one. And do I want to road test one and find out I don't like it and then road test the other? Or I mean, I can try one. If I don't like it, I can try the other. I was like, what are we talking ice cream here? So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. The one good thing is they have what they call patient advocates, which is basically people that have been using these machines for a year or more. And you can call and literally talk to them. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call and I'm going to talk to real live patients using both machines and see what they say. Now, I have a friend that had a stimulator put in 10 years ago. And she said basically for the first 5, 6 years it was fine. And then her back kind of grew into it, you know. She kind of like maxed out, and even when she would go to the highest setting, it wasn't enough. I said, yeah, you know, after a while, the body is an amazing item. It says, okay, you've been running that machine on high. We're going to increase the pain now. I mean, I'm reading the literature and go on the website, and the websites kind of suck. I'm going to have to actually call. You can either call and talk to a nurse, or you can talk to a patient advocate. I'm going to call, and I want to talk to a nurse because she's more medically adept at this thing. I'm leaning towards the pump, mainly because I haven't heard really great things about this machine. Of course, that was 10 years ago. They've made more advancements in the stimulator in 10 years. I just don't like the idea of an electrical cable up my back. And having to sit down and recharge the goddamn, you know, well, gotta strap your belt on, time to recharge. So next week when I see the rehab psychologist, he is going to see if I am mentally ready for either device. And then he's going to write a report and turn it into my doctor. I can see the report. This old son of a bitch drove me fucking crazy. Signed, Dr. So-and-so. But I'm gonna call and talk to nurses and patients about both devices. Because I don't have to make this decision until January. Because it's going to take them that long to wean me off the frickin' fentanyl. Then when I'm down to zero, oh, I'm not looking forward to that. It's make a decision time. I like, Jesus Christ, it's always something. But see, since, you know, these fucking people ruined it over the years, you know, doctor shopping and selling the goddamn drugs on the side and that, it's literally screwed it up for all of us legal patients that need this shit. Well, I want to see what the nurses say and then see what the patient advocates say. Because you're talking to people that are actually using the devices. And I don't think that they're going to try to sell me on something if it isn't working 100%. And you can also, hopefully get an honest answer as to how the surgery go, what did they have to do. Because you go on the website and it's a bunch of bullshit. Click on this to hear what Bob has to say about his stimulator. Oh, gee, the first day I was bench pressing Cadillacs. Yeah, right. Then I asked him, I said, okay, what's the results from the CT scan and all them fucking x rays? Well, I have a tad bit of narrowing at, what do you say, L5S1 or L6S1 or whatever the last L is. But I have an even more serious narrowing at C4, C5. Now I have a C5, C6 fusion. I said, now are we talking a C4, C5 fusion? He said, well, it could possibly be in your future. I was like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, he told me that sometimes when you get a fusion, it does create problems either above or below at the discs. I was like, well, thank you very much. Yeah, in '04, I had the C5, C6 done. Now they're telling me I might need a C4, C5. Which I don't know how they would do the C5 without fucking up what's in there already. So I have to make an appointment with a spinal surgeon. I was like, Jesus. It sucks to get fucking old. Foot surgery, back surgery, neck surgery. I ain't getting no back surgery. Fuck that, man. I've had too many of my friends that have had back surgery over the years and they're like in misery. I don't think so. I don't want to turn into the Bionic Man. Although, I do have to admit, the recovery did go quite well, except for being in the middle of fucking July and August. Oh, God. Wearing that goddamn brace was like somebody pouring fucking water down it. Sweating my ass off. I was tucking washcloths up under it and handkerchiefs and sweating my balls off. Not to mention I couldn't drive. Yeah, well, I ain't too happy about it myself. But basically, with no medication anymore, you gotta do something. Although I like my pain management doctor. He says, I'm not gonna do anything for 2 months. I'm gonna leave you where you're at. He said, I know my boss wanted me to step down from 50 to 25. He goes, I'm going to leave you at 50 for 2 months. Well, that's why they're stepping me down slow. But when I go from 25 to 0, I have to have my mind made up which one of these machines. That's why they're saying, come January, I have to make a decision. Because once they take me to 0, it ain't going to be fun. And like my pain management doctor said, I don't want to see you go through any misery. You're going through enough now. Gonna be a good old coin toss. Okay, we go with the pump. I don't know. I got October, November, and December to think about it, so. But I can't leave it till the last minute either. Because when they say decision time, I have to make a decision. Plain and simple. Yeah, Ron, it's going to be a little hard if he says, I'd like to have you in the office on Monday. I don't think the shitbox would make it there and back. What a pain in the ass. I was doing great for 10 years. And the fucking government's got to get their nose up your ass. Even my pain management doctor apologized. He said, we were doing great for 10 years. But he says, this isn't my decision. I says, I know. You've been talking about it for the last 3 years. Wasn't like a surprise. I knew it was coming. Yeah, Kathy, him and I had, as a matter of fact, I got there about 15 minutes early. And I hadn't even finished checking in. And he heard my voice. And he come out and he went, come on in the back, come on. And he told me, he said, I'm limited to seeing a patient